All right, guys, we are ready. So students and guests, please be quiet. Turn off your phones. That's you all, okay? I got my eyes on you guys. Please be respectful, turn off your phones, and we are going to start our Hall of Fame assembly.
Please stand for the presentation of the colors by the JROTC Color Guard.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Order. Colors. Right. Face. Forward. March. You may sit down.
Hello. So I have the pleasure of introducing a graduate of Rogers who has distinguished himself in many ways. He's going to be our speaker or host today. And he is known as the former mayor of Rogers. He was a president of the university. He's actually on my dissertation committee. He teaches at the University of Oklahoma. And I am very proud to introduce my friend, Roger Randall. Dr. Roger Randall.
It's my honor to be here with you, and it's especially an honor to be recognized by Nikki Dennis because of her wonderful leadership of this school. I was in a school in China several years ago, and over the entrance of the school it had the motto, "Today be proud of your school. Tomorrow let your school be proud of you." The Hall of Fame induction is an opportunity for us to recognize and honor people who have distinguished themselves in the world of work and the world of their professions. Every one of us, of course, at one time sat in the seats that you are occupying in this auditorium. And so it's not only a way to honor the achievements of these people, but it's also an opportunity to remind you that one day your achievements as well will be the source of honor for this school. With apologies to the monolingual people in the group, quiero decir algo aparte para los estudiantes hispanos y latinos. Tenemos grandes esperanzas para todos los ropers, pero especialmente de los hijos de inmigrantes que están aquí, porque ustedes tienen ventajas que los otros ropers no tienen. Ustedes hablan dos idiomas, ustedes conocen dos culturas, y en el mundo globalizado, estos talentos son sumamente importantes. We thank all of you for being here, for sharing in this event. I would like to now present the names of the honorees for this year. Walter Stewart Yeager, Ron Woods, Linda Sellen Frazier, Frank Markham, Linda Barton Paul, David Finch. I present these names to the principal and ask if you accept them.
We proudly accept these individuals to be in the Will Rogers Hall of Fame.
Congratulations to all of them, and I know we have present today former inductees. I see Senator Rader and others. Would you all please stand so we can also acknowledge the former inductees that are present today. Dick Risk stood, Roberta stood, so we thank them for their presence today and their continuing commitment to the school. Now we'll see a short video about the life of Will Rogers to remind us of the values and principles for which his life stood.
Who was Will Rogers? He was America's first multimedia celebrity. When Will was a boy, there were no computers or cell phones, no telephones of any kind, no electricity. There were no cars. He had mixed European and Cherokee ancestry and was born on a cattle ranch about 25 miles from today's Will Rogers High School. Will's mother died when he was 10, and it was a very hard time for him. His father thought he needed more discipline, so he sent him away to a military boarding school. Will became a hardworking cowboy, but he also did tricks on horseback and amazed everyone with rope tricks. He got a job at a Wild West show, performing his rope tricks on stages all over the world. Then one night, he started talking to his audience. He was soft-spoken and funny, and the audience loved him. Well, that changed everything. It not only made him even more popular on stage, it also opened up the door to other media. This was long before television. Families gathered around the radio to hear music, dramatic shows, and speakers. With his smooth voice, Will was a natural for radio. Comedians at the time were silly, more like clowns, but Will had a unique, thoughtful sense of humor. His jokes inspired people, and he became one of the biggest stars of radio.
Don't get scared and start turning off your radios. I'm not advertising or trying to sell you anything. If the mouthwash you're using is not the right kind and it tastes sort of like sheep dip, why, you just have to go right on using it. I can't advise any other kind at all.
At the time, everybody read the newspaper because it was the main source for news. So when Will started writing a newspaper column, everybody wanted to read what Will had to say. Soon, his column was appearing in hundreds of newspapers across the country. He also wrote more than 20 books. In the 1920s, movies were becoming popular, and Hollywood producers rushed to cast Will in films that were written around his character, a soft-spoken, philosophical, funny guy. His first movies were silent, and then movies with sound came out. Some of the actors didn't do very well, but America already knew and loved Will's voice. He starred in 70 films and became America's most popular movie star.
But you are an American citizen.
Well, I think I am. Folks, Indians, both my mother and father had Cherokee blood in them. Born and raised in Indian Territory. Of course, I'm not these Americans whose ancestors come over on the Mayflower, but we met them at the boat when they landed. Garçon!
I see you already speak our language.
S'il vous plaît, merci, n'est-ce pas?
So he was a star of the stage, radio, newspaper, and movies. That was all the media. And Will didn't waste his fame. He used it to make the world a better place. He campaigned for the politicians he believed in and poked fun at all of them. He led efforts to feed hungry families during the Great Depression. He worked tirelessly to help victims of floods, drought, and the Dust Bowl that ruined so many families in Oklahoma.
They're not asking for charity. They're naturally asking for a job. But if you can't give them a job, why, the next best thing you can do is see that they have food and the necessities of life.
Airplanes were new, and people weren't sure they could trust them. But Will knew that in the future, everyone would want to fly. So he set an example for the world. He wasn't a pilot, but flew every chance he got, just to encourage other people to try it. When he died tragically, he was doing what he loved. It was the top story in the news, and the whole nation felt the loss. People loved Will Rogers because he was one of them, a common man who became famous for saying, "I never met a man I didn't like." That's why our new school was named for him in 1939. Will Rogers is Oklahoma's favorite son and America's first multimedia celebrity.
If Will Rogers had been a graduate of this high school, he would qualify for induction into the Hall of Fame. But the greatness of Will Rogers and the value that he represents to us today is not based on his fame. The greatness of Will Rogers lies in the values that he espoused of respect for people, of acceptance, of diversity, of being a person who valued other human beings. He touched other human beings. That was his greatness, and that is a greatness to which everyone in this auditorium can aspire. I'd like to recognize some students who appeared in the video. It was filmed 2 years ago. COVID has made some changes in our schedule for things, but I'd like to acknowledge Michelle Salazar, Kirga Kirby, Hector Gomez, Madison Vasquez, and Markal Johnson for their participation in the video. And I'd like to thank Lexi Palmer, the Student Council President. She'll be presenting the statuette awards that are given out today. Mr. Yeager will be giving his speech by video, and his award will be accepted on his behalf by Roper Battalion Commander Sergeant Yoli Lechuga.
A military career is a calling. Not all can hear it, but the selected few that do and choose to serve have my highest admiration. To have the military career Walter Yeager had and to say it was amazing would be such an understatement. The opportunity to peer into the galaxy and reveal some of its secrets is such an inspiration. If I decide to answer the call to service, I can only hope to have an impressive career as Walter Yeager.
We're on our way to better's ahead, better's ahead. It gets worse for it gets better.
Walter Stewart Yeager always had his mind and eyes looking towards the stars. That drive afforded him the opportunity to attend Oklahoma University and graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in Aerospace Engineering. He then joined the United States Air Force as a second lieutenant and continued his education. He earned a Master of Science degree in Aerospace Engineering from the Air Force Institute of Technology. During his military career, he served as a maintenance officer of the KC-135, an aircraft that was known for always being in the air for the Air Force Airborne Command Center. Later, as commander of the 65th 55th Aerospace Test Group and Space Launch Operations Manager, he supervised critical, high-value launches, including many classified surveillance missions. He integrated Air Force satellites with NASA rockets and oversaw launches of Titan, Atlas, and Delta rockets. His missions included the Titan 3C, America's first rocket that was returned to Earth for reuse. His drive and passion of aerospace engineering was paying off. It was affording him opportunities to fulfill dreams some may never have even thought possible. Walter's next big opportunity came when he pioneered America's exploration of Mars. Use of the Viking spacecraft, it delivered satellites and landing vehicles to the Red Planet, which were critical to the mission's success. In 1977, his opportunity to explore space came when he supervised the launch of 2 Voyager spacecraft to research Jupiter and Neptune. The Voyagers are still sending data from interstellar space. Walter supervised the $4.5 billion construction of Space Launch Complex 6 at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, a facility that would allow the launch and landing of NASA's space shuttle, including its piggyback flights to Kennedy Space Center in Florida. With Walter's keen mind and attention to detail, he was placed in charge of the Air Force investigation of a weather satellite mishap in 2015, and on the team investigating a 1980 fuel explosion inside the silo of a Titan ICBM. After retiring as a colonel, with the multiple awards of his accomplishments, he became Lockheed Martin Vice President of Launch Operations. This allowed him to continue to work with the Air Force and NASA on high-value and classified missions, including the spectacular Cassini mission, which explored the wonders of Saturn and its moons for 13 years. Walter has been active in junior achievement and served as a chair of the 39th Space Congress and president of the Missile and Space Pioneers, where he instills his knowledge and passion to all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1954, Mr. Walter Yeager.
Good morning to the next generation that have the opportunity to gain the same experience I did. Being selected for the Will Rogers High School Hall of Fame is an award and an honor that is significant to me, since it highlights a time of my life that represents the key features that formed my future. Education is important, of course, but is much more. Friends that remain with you for life. Educators that care and truly wanted us to succeed and lead us through the life. Laid the groundwork to help us, that truly wanted us to succeed. And the intangibles that provided us with the tools that formed our character and basic knowledge to prepare us for the future. The memories from here, old Will on the Hill, are as valid today as they were then. Friends like John, Pat, Bill, Jim, Teresa, Donna are always there for us. Educators such as Pruitt, Alexander, Perry, Roberts, Hipsher, Kubik, provided the groundwork for all of the success in my space career. I advise you, young people, do not take these days lightly. They will form you and prepare you forever. I did, and they rewarded me with a great career and lasting friends. While in the military and industry, I relied heavily on these key factors: lifelong friends and strong character teachings of the teachers and administrators. They provided the groundwork for the skills I used throughout them. If you nurture these, they will provide you with the foundation that leads to success. It is a pleasure for me to be able to share with you these deep feelings I have for the years spent in these hallowed halls. They prove to show that success is not only reward, but the result of effort of those like I have mentioned here. I thank the board for nominating and selecting me for this award, and I wish all of you success in your lives.
When you're in school, some of the best encouragement you can get is to always follow your dreams. That's the story of our next inductee. By all accounts, Ron Woods was headed for a career in music and education. But he left that career behind, only to discover his dream was bigger than music, bigger than teaching.
Ron Woods has become a successful leader in 3 careers: music, healthcare, and philanthropy. And while he may not have known it at the time, all 3 of them would grow to be greater than the sum of their individual parts and create for Ron a life and legacy of helping uncountable people. But it all started at Will Rogers High School with a trumpet. Ron's musical ability would elevate him to the leader of the school's Roundup Orchestra and eventually lead to a full musical scholarship at Tulsa University. Pursuing a career in education, Ron was recruited by Webster High School to replace not 1, but 2 teachers as director of both instrumental and vocal music. He arrived on campus to find only 17 students were involved in the music programs, so he began to personally recruit more. To say his efforts were a success would be an understatement. After 2 years, 2/3 of Webster students were in band, marching band, orchestra, jazz band, mixed chorus, girls chorus, and music theory class. Ron taught them all and even gave free lessons. It was during this time that he spent 11 years playing with the Tulsa Symphony and led a regional performance band called the Natural Brass Company. But time and the circumstances of life would bring sweeping changes to Ron. With their family continuing to grow, Ron and his wife Carol decided that a musician's life might not be the best way to provide for themselves and their 4 children, leading Ron to found an independent commercial insurance company. Eventually taking advantage of a new federal law that would allow companies to self-insure, essentially paying claims for the employees rather than through a traditional insurance company, Ron founded Healthcare Solutions Group to administer those plans for the employers. One of Ron's core beliefs was that a healthy workplace benefited employers, employees, and their families. So as a result, Ron founded Care ATC, which established full medical clinics complete with doctors and nurses specifically for employees near their workplace, or in some cases actually on site. When Ron sold the company in 2019, it had changed the way employers provide health insurance and health care in 35 states. Along with his wife, Ron would go on to found the Ron and Carol Woods Foundation, supporting local charities in poverty assistance and education.
And never forgetting his alma mater, Ron is also one of the directors of the Will Rogers High School Community Foundation.
So whether he knew it or not at the time, Ron's journey from education to business to philanthropy shaped him into a living testimony of his life's motto: help others get what they want or need.
It is my pleasure to introduce Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1957, Mr. Ron Woods.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I can't describe to you what an honor it is to be standing in front of you today, being given the chance to talk to you, even for a short time. I also want to tell you what you'll quickly figure out, and that is I'm not a public speaker. I'm extremely nervous. In 1957, I was let out of prison. I graduated from Will Rogers High School. I'm joking, of course. This place is very dear to me, and I think it will, if it didn't already, I think it will be for you. It's probably one of the highlights of my entire life, being a graduate of Will Rogers High School. In fact, even though I live about an hour and a half from Tulsa now, I, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, had lunch with 11 of my classmates here in Tulsa, and in about 2 months, we're going to have our 65th class reunion. So we still stick together. I honestly can't believe that I've been chosen for this award, and certainly feel that there are many others that deserve it a whole lot more than I do. In my short time talking to you this morning, I want you to understand that I'm like you. I grew up moving to Tulsa in about the 8th grade, I believe, lived at 707 North Kingston. If any of you know where that is, that's about 6 blocks north of Admiral and about 4 blocks west of Sheridan. Lived there in a little white house for 60 years back, and that little white house is still there. I had a modest family with modest income. My parents never owned a home. They never got to the point that they could afford to buy one. Always rented. And to be real honest with you, my family, some of my family's here, and I think they don't even know this, but there were times growing up that, I would have liked it a whole lot more if there had been a little bit more food on the table in the evening. Believe me. I worked pretty hard for 2 or 3 years, and with one goal in mind, that was I wanted to buy an automobile, and I actually succeeded in doing so. I bought a 1949 Plymouth for $250. And I think it burned as much oil as it did gas, but at least it beat walking. I finally got there. I really don't know how to start, but I guess I will. I want to talk about things I learned from my father early on. And he taught me 2 principles, and I've lived by both of those. The first is help others get what they want or need. I think you may have seen that in the video. And I see some friends and family here in front of me, and hopefully they could verify that that's exactly what I have done my entire life. You see, my father taught me that saying when I was your age, and living by this principle, that being one of the main purposes in life is not to serve my own self and my own self-interest, but to help others get what they want or need. I'd like to encourage you to do the same. Look around today, in your class, in the hall, after school, at home. How can you help others get what they want or need? The second principle, and this certainly did not originate with me, is pay it forward. I'm sure many of you heard this saying before. It's a concept that you appreciate the kindness and favor that you've been shown by others, and you pay it forward to someone else who needs it. I carry small cards in my jacket with those words on them, pay it forward. And I often leave them laying around when I've done some small deed like pay for someone's coffee or give somebody a pair of gloves in the wintertime if they need it. It's amazing that the effect that this can have on someone's day and even someone's life when you take the time to give kindness, no matter how small. It doesn't even take money, but it does take 2 of mine and your most precious assets, time and thoughtfulness. Both of these principles are not new. They're both taught extensively in what I like to call the manual. I know it isn't popular to do so these nowadays, but especially not popular in school. But I truly believe we could all spend a little more time knowing and doing the principles taught in the Bible. One whole world would be a better place. You see, these 2 principles are just outgrowths of Jesus' words when he said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You know what? I think that following these practices actually work to the good of not just others, but also to the person doing them. These very simple principles have worked great for me, and they will work great for you. I believe that much of my success has not come because I was always looking out for me, but I've consistently tried and not always succeeded, but to help others get what they want or need. From the scriptures of old to my auto mechanic father, these truths have remained trustworthy. Helping others get what they want and need is the main lesson I learned from them, and I hope it's the lesson that you all take home with you when you leave here. I want to read something to you, not my words, but something I find interesting, and I hope you do too. For what it's worth, it's never too late or too early to be whatever you want to be. You can change or you can stay the same. There are no rules to this thing. We can make the best or the worst of it. I hope you make the best of it. I hope you see things that startle you. I hope you feel things you've never felt before. I hope you meet people who have a different point of view than you. I hope you live a life you're proud of, and if you're not, I hope you have the courage to start all over again. Thank you again for coming today, and I pray that this school, great school, will mean as much to you as it has to me. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Most of us think of learning as a season. We go to school for 12 years, then go on to learn a trade or go to college, and then life can begin. But our next inductee has discovered something else. With all her numerous awards and honors, it would be easy to think that Linda Frazier had reached the top of her game. Instead, she still takes classes and still learns. Because she's discovered that to stay successful in whatever field you've chosen is a lifelong journey of learning.
Linda Frazier is a guiding force in Tulsa arts and a champion for arts education. She credits her time at Will Rogers for helping mold her into the person she has become. After graduating in 1958, Linda would go on to earn her bachelor's in music and French at DePaul University and would eventually earn her master's in the humanities from the University of Tulsa. Her time at TU would lead her to becoming managing editor of Tulsa Studies in Women's Literature, the university's first learned journal devoted exclusively to women's writing. While her time at TU and her teaching are no doubt important, it is her love of the arts that would come to define her. She has been the president of the Junior League of Tulsa, Chamber Music Tulsa, and AHHA, or AHA, formerly known as the Arts and Humanities Council, where she was instrumental in founding the Artists in the Schools program, the Harwelden Institute for the Arts and Education, and the Kennedy Center Any Given Child Partnership, which pairs Tulsa art organizations and Tulsa public schools with live art experiences and directly related curriculum for every child, grades K through 8. Linda continues to work with the Tulsa Symphony Carnegie Link-Up program, which provides a musical curriculum to thousands of students, culminating in an opportunity to perform with the orchestra. Linda has also served on the boards of Mid-America Arts Alliance and the Oklahoma Arts Institute Foundation. She was asked by multiple Tulsa mayors to serve on the Arts Commission as well as the Tulsa Performing Arts Center Trust, and was twice appointed by the governor to the Oklahoma Arts Council, which she would go on to chair from 1996 to 2000. In 2009, Linda became a member of the Tulsa Hall of Fame, having been inducted by the Tulsa Historical Society. In addition to this honor, she has also received the Oklahoma Governor's Arts Award, the Marilyn Douglas Award, the DePaul University Community Service Award, the Charles E. Norman Harwelden Distinguished Service Award, and has twice received the Tulsa Pinnacle Award. Yet Linda is never one to rest on her accolades. She continues to study French. She studies voice and sings as a member and soloist of the Wednesday Morning Musicale, the Yeager Club, and the Boston Avenue Methodist Church Chancel Choir. All these honors, along with Linda's love of the arts and her heart for service, had their birth in the historic halls of Will Rogers High School.
It is my pleasure to introduce our next Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1958, Linda Frazier. From the class of 1958, Linda Frazier.
Thank you so very much. And thank you, Will Rogers High School Foundation, for this great honor. So to each of you Will Rogers students in this assembly, I can assure you that in the years 1955 to 1958, when I was in your seat, I never dreamed of an honor like this. I was simply concentrating, as I suspect you are, on my next test or on my friends or on what I would do next in my life. But this incredible honor has made me reflect on those years, and I realize how very much what I have done since 1958 is connected to the experiences that I had at Will Rogers High School, such as singing in the choir under Wyatt Freeman, dancing, playing the piano, singing in the fabulous Roundup under the exacting but inspiring influence of Doris Niles, singing the sixfold Amen on this stage in this magnificent auditorium at the end of each assembly, and being in the 1956 production of South Pacific with Anita Bryant as Nellie. Those were really the highlights of my high school years. They were experiences that made a difference in how I felt about myself, that gave me confidence, that were a retreat when other things were not going well, that inspired me to work harder. The arts were my special place. They were my happy place. And they were foundational to the person I was to become. So they were the experiences that led to this honor today. And because these Will Rogers High School experiences in the arts were so pivotal to me, I have spent lots of hours since those years working for efforts that would assure that all students in Tulsa have access to arts education, as I did, an education that could transform their lives and make them better students and, most of all, happier people. So what I want to say to you today is twofold. First, as a student at Will Rogers High School, you are part of an amazing legacy. In the arts alone, it is a legacy that includes David Gates, Leon Russell, Anita Bryant, Russell Myers, S.E. Hinton, my fellow recipient, Linda Barton. But Will Rogers' legacy includes more than its famous graduates. It includes all of us, for whom attending this high school and being part of this special community inspires all of our life. Second, and most important, I want to encourage you to make the arts part of your lives. You don't have to be talented like the famous people I just mentioned. I certainly am not. Although, indeed, you all most likely have talents that you've not yet imagined or discovered. But do know that you can make the arts a part of your life as an observer or an amateur. Quoting the author Kurt Vonnegut, practice any art: music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reporting, no matter how well or badly, not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what is inside you and to make your soul grow. As my husband Mark, a Will Rogers High School graduate of 1956, who is a singer and was a member of the marching band and who became a dentist, often says, the arts are your connective tissue. They inspire you, they make you want to live, they make you want to treat people better, they make you want to hug your family and your friends, and they make you want to be a better person. Most important, they make you realize that there is always more that you can become. So good luck to each one of you, and thank you again for this amazing honor.
All of the folks you have met today have achieved things in life that you too should aspire to achieve. I introduced earlier some of the past inductees that are here today. let me go over that list again. Dick Risk, Joanne Lewis, Roberta Scott, Dave Rader, me. The lighting makes it hard to see who is present, so there may be more past inductees that I haven't seen, and I apologize for that. The next inductee, Frank Markham, passed away in 2019. His award is presented posthumously, and his wife, Sherry, will accept it on his behalf.
For a generation like mine that has grown up in the age of instant information, YouTube stars, and the Twitter sphere, the idea of being a sports celebrity doesn't seem that crazy, even if our parents dream of us being something more noble, like an astronaut. Frank Markham got to do both, and more. A talented athlete deciding to become a teacher is nothing unusual. The rest of Frank's journey was anything but ordinary. It was a journey that would take him from the Will Rogers High School track to 2 universities all over our nation, and nearly to the stars.
During his time at Will Rogers High School, Frank Markham ran hurdles for the Roper track team. His talent and swift feet would carry him to the University of Tulsa, where he would go on to become a record-setting hurdler. However, it was off the track and in the study halls of TU where his life's work would start to take shape. Frank earned his bachelor's in history and sociology at TU and continued on to Northeastern State University, where he completed his master's in history and education. Frank would take those skills into the classrooms of Tulsa Public Schools, where he taught history for nearly 3 decades, and it was during his teaching career when he received an opportunity most people could only dream of. In 1985, Frank became one of 114 finalists culled from a pool of 11,000 applicants for NASA's Teacher in Space program. And though Frank would go on to complete all the training, in the wake of the ill-fated Challenger launch, NASA would cancel the program. And even though his trip to the stars was not meant to be, Frank remained committed to inspiring students and others about space exploration. He became regional director and wrote curriculum for the Challenger Center, which partners with NASA to engage students and teachers in science, technology, engineering, and math studies, all based around space technology. He was also selected as a NASA ambassador and traveled throughout Oklahoma, speaking to civic organizations, encouraging students to consider careers in space exploration. Leading by example, Frank earned a commercial pilot license, eventually flying more than 37 types of aircraft. Frank was also an Army veteran and served for 26 years in the Army Reserve, receiving 3 Army Commendation Medals for meritorious service. As a company commander, he headed the detachment that guards the U.S. gold supply. He was also the military liaison to President Gerald Ford during the 1980 Cuban refugee crisis at Fort Chaffee. Always the educator, he taught for several years at the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, eventually becoming Director of Officers Courses and rising to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. For 20 years, Frank was a coordinator for the Close-Up Foundation, a national organization that encourages young people to participate in local, state, and federal government. Each year, he took students to Washington, D.C. to experience the workings of government firsthand. Eventually, Frank would retire from education, but he would remain active, becoming Vice President of Quality Control and Logistics for Solaria Advanced Blast Protection Systems, one of the first firms to develop bomb blast protection for military vehicles. It was a full and unpredictable journey, but it all began in the halls and on the track of Will Rogers High School.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1961, Mr. Frank Markham. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1961, Mr. Frank Markham.
You kids probably don't fully realize how lucky you are to be going to high school here at Rogers. Frank loved this school. He loved the building, but he also loved his time in high school. He gave it his all, whether it was in the roundup or whether it was on the track field running hurdles. The hurdles gave him the opportunity to have a scholarship to go to TU. So this is important, kids. And having gone through TU, he got drafted into the Army, and that was something that he truly valued. Since he was drafted, he went ahead and signed up to be an officer. So he was an officer in the Army for almost 30 years. He had so many interests. Some of them were shown in the video. Whether it was skiing or scuba diving or cave spelunking, he gave it his all. And so when he got out of the Army, he went back to school and got his education certification. And he was a teacher in the Tulsa Public Schools for almost 30 years. He was a fantastic teacher. He was able to take kids to Washington, D.C. For over 20 years. He thought it was vitally important that the kids learn the government, whether it would be local, city, state, or on the national level. And in addition to that, in 1984, which I'm sure seems like ancient history to most of you in here, he got the opportunity to apply for the Teacher in Space program. And he was fortunate enough to have been chosen one of 2 teachers out of the entire state of Oklahoma. And I don't know how many remember, but the Teacher in Space project ended in a disaster when the Challenger exploded. But even after that, he remained active with the Challenger program, providing study groups and stuff across the nation. The main thing I want you to take away from this is that you too can do anything that you put your mind and heart to. Frank loved life.
Find that one thing that just fits in your life. And that's what Linda found. For some, it's sports or academia, but music is just special. And it is special to so many, for so many different reasons. Music can transport you to memories, places, and times with great friends. And that's what Linda's music can do.
It's a human sign.
Linda Barton Paul's love of music may have started with the piano and trumpet, but in the 9th grade she found her true love, the harp. She became the featured harpist in the Will Rogers Orchestra. During her time at Will Rogers, she also participated in the marching band, roundup, and many other shows. This innate talent with the harp enabled her to receive a full scholarship at Oklahoma University. She continued her studies at Langston University, University of Tulsa, and the University of Tennessee. She completed her studies with a bachelor's degree in liberal arts, but this was just the beginning of her over 50 years as a harpist. Linda, a Grammy-nominated professional, has been a principal harpist with 5 symphonies, including Tulsa Philharmonic, Oklahoma City Philharmonic, and the Arkansas Symphony Orchestra. She was also selected as Oklahoma Centennial Artist in 2007 alongside fellow artists Reba McEntire and Blake Shelton. She opened for Chuck Berry at President Bill Clinton's inaugural Mid-Atlantic Ball. Her gifts have allowed her to travel throughout the nation and perform with major artists, including Frank Sinatra, Dave Brubeck, Barry McGuire, Mason Williams, Judy Collins, Peter Nero, and the New Christie Minstrels. Here is a small clip of one of the many performances from Linda Paul. In the 1990s, she found a new calling as a dedicated public servant. She served on the Tulsa City County Task Force on Domestic Violence, which helped implement Domestic Violence Survivors Court. Enabling thousands of women to escape domestic violence, she continues to give domestic violence prevention and intervention classes in prison. In 2007, Linda became an ordained Episcopal minister serving churches in the Tulsa area. She is a volunteer as a prison chaplain and works with educators, legislators, and nonprofits to redirect people away from prison with sobriety and workforce reentry.
It is my pleasure to introduce Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee from the class of 1969, Mrs. Linda Barton Paul.
I never was on stage here. I always played in the pit. The relationships formed here at Will on the Hill will take you far in life. From my years in the chorale, the band, and the orchestra, and on the yearbook, my teachers and friends became cheerleaders, making my dreams my goals. Being raised in a blue-collar family made dreams seem just, well, dreams. My grandparents were born in the late 1800s and got a third-grade education. Their daughter and son, my aunt and my dad, got a high school education. And my mom and dad graduated here at Rogers in 1948. And my siblings all graduated from Rogers High School. But college was for the elite, the rich, and never for me. Repeatedly I heard, it takes too much time, that will be too hard, and there's not enough money. You just can't do that. And yet I repeatedly heard people here in these halls say, you can do it. Keep going. Keep trying. I reached out very tentatively at first as I began the journey from dreams to goals. A sudden audition came up in April of my senior year at OU, and I was offered a full scholarship to OU playing the harp. My journalism teacher, Joanne Ragsdale, helped me fill in my application. My English teacher, Mrs. Inhelder, helped me with my essay. The Dean of Girls and my music teachers gave me letters of recommendation. These were all the teachers that believed in me when I was afraid to go from dreams to goals. My friends here applauded my decision. It's hard work. I played the harp for the orchestra, the ballet, the Broadway theater, opera, and every senior recital that someone wanted a harp to play on. And doing that while taking 18 to 20 hours a semester. I worked at odd jobs for grocery and housing money. I didn't even own a harp, but OU had one, and it got me through all 4 years. And I caught the bug to be a professional harpist. By the time I was 35, I was teaching harp at TU and ORU here in Tulsa, with 35 students in my studio. I was playing with the Tulsa Philharmonic, the Tulsa Ballet, and the Tulsa Opera, and was a contract player for Broadway touring shows. I began playing for other regional orchestras in other states, and I received a contract to play with Dave Brubeck on tour. Great shows. And did a year's tour with the New Christie Minstrels. I worked in LA and New York, and I played for many famous people. But I also raised a family. My work ethic was their example to make dreams their goals. And now my grandchildren are the third generation in our family to go to college. So if you're the first generation of your family with college aspirations, I ask you to make your dreams your goals. Invite people to help you make these dreams into reality. Build the relationships in these halls that will take you far in life. Thank you.
In the world through our phone's eye, whether through Facebook, Snapchat, selfies, or whatever, but it hadn't dawned on me how powerful visual expression can be on someone or something. Reading David Finch's biography, it truly impressed me how he impacted the culture then and now. The way we watch television, especially sports, has improved because of this one man, this fellow roper.
David Finch, an Eagle Scout, got an early start on his career. His passion for being able to see the world through the lens of a camera assisted him in landing a job as a camera operator at KTUL-TV while he was attending Will Rogers High School. After continuing his education at the University of Tulsa, once again his passion continued to lead him. This time it led him west, to Hollywood. During this time he worked on television shows such as The Young and the Restless, The Red Fox Show, and the variety show Sonny & Cher Comedy Hour. His knowledge and experience were also used in covering Miss America and Miss Universe pageants, as well as hard-hitting segments pertaining to political conventions, presidential debates, and multiple features for CBS 60 Minutes. Some may say David got his big break in 1977 when he got to film his first Masters golf tournament. Using a handheld camera, he walked with the golfers, capturing new, closer views of the individual games. With an instant rapport with players, he made creative shots with new angles and framing, transcending sports coverage with the art of filmmaking and influenced other photojournalists. And with this, the way sports appeared on television was changed forever. He covered hundreds of PGA golf tournaments for over 4 decades, walking the courses with legends like Jack Nicklaus, Phil Mickelson, and Tiger Woods.
Hey, Finchy, congratulations, bud. You deserve it, all the things you've done for us, and staying out of our way. But congratulations, and proud of you, bud.
But his keen, creative eye was not isolated to golf. He covered the 1978 Muhammad Ali and Michael Spink's heavyweight championship fight. In addition to that, he also covered 8 NFL Super Bowls, a number of NBA games, U.S. Tennis Open Championships, and NASCAR to include the Daytona 500. While working on NCAA Final Four, he captured Michael Jordan's winning goal as North Carolina won the 1982 championship. He has traveled the world covering the Winter Olympics in France, Norway, and Japan. David is the recipient of 19 Emmy Awards and was inducted into the Sports Broadcasting Hall of Fame in 2010. There he was hailed as the standard bearer of the handheld camera era and able to turn his mechanical instrument into a paintbrush, creating an artistic platform for the mini camera and changing the look of sports TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Rogers Hall of Fame inductee of the class of 1971, Mr. David Finch.
Thank you. Wow, this is a little surreal for me standing here.
in this beautiful auditorium. You know, it seems like yesterday I was performing for the 1971 Will Rogers High School Roundup Talent Show. I was right here at this lectern trying to make some lame jokes, trying to remember my lines right here, right now, and fooling everyone that would really listen. I have many happy memories from the school, I really do. From the classrooms with the great teachers, this auditorium, backstage right here, the hallways, and even the smoke hole. Was that still there? I'm not sure. Great memories that have lasted for my lifetime. I feel very lucky to have attended the school, I really do. Since 1971, I've had the opportunity to travel the world and enjoy a full, creative, and love-filled life, and I still do. Those very quick 50 years took me on an exciting journey through my career in entertainment, sports, and news television production. I never thought I would have the opportunity to work with and shoot, film some personalities that are world famous today. As a Tulsa kid growing up, I really didn't think I would be shooting and creating some classic TV for one of the greatest musicians of his generation and mine. From Little Red Corvette to Purple Rain, he made his mark in music history. And I was lucky enough to witness some of Prince's magic moments while shooting a Super Bowl spot. He was just really awesome. Then just a year later, I had the opportunity to shoot an AT&T commercial for the Olympics. As I was flying to Indianapolis, I had no idea who was going to go shoot, but my producer told me, yeah, she's an up-and-coming young talent. All the kids really like her. Well, here I was, the kid from 25th Place over near Merrill Meadows Shopping Center, trying to explain to this tall, beautiful singer why my specific shot of her walking up to her band from a low angle, she had tall cowboy boots on and a very short skirt. I was trying to explain why this shot would work really well and really would look good for a video. And she just looked at me. Well, to this day, I appreciate Taylor Swift believed in my vision and at least that one shot. Then, little did I know that a very young 16-year-old skinny golfer I started covering at the LA Open Golf Tournament at Riviera Country Club back in 1992. Well, he would go on to become a legend in the golf world. The first word this kid said to me, I was following him in a paparazzi crowd, and he was just walking back to the clubhouse, and he looked at all the cameras, he looks at me, he looks at my lens, he says, "Get that bleeping camera out of here." And I looked at him, and to this day, he still says that to me sometimes. Yep, he always wears red on Sundays. And since then, I've had the pleasure of covering his 5 major golf championships at the Masters and other many, many tour wins. Yep, I'm happy to call Tiger Woods a friend, and you know what? He's the real deal, he really is. While I had the chance to meet these and many other wonderful, interesting, and sometimes challenging people, that's not really the important part of my story today. The really important part of my story is this. I was chasing my dreams. I always knew what I wanted to do after graduation here at the University of Tulsa. I was lucky. I was going to move to New York or LA. I was going to work in TV. And I did. And while I was lucky to live those experiences and have so many great memories, I really did, I really attribute my success from my learning and growing days right here in this school. My education here at this school helped form my morals, a little bit of my intellect, maybe a little, and overall attitude toward life. Well, I feel you too can take these years here at Will Rogers High School, take your memories, the education, the experiences from the time spent in this wonderful, beautiful school to chase your dreams, your ideas, your goals, to chase your loves, and to chase your passions. You can find your personal success and happiness if you truly work hard and really forge into the future with no fear. Whether it's right here in Tulsa or somewhere else in this big, beautiful world around us, you can accomplish anything you want to. No kidding. No one can hold you back if you really try hard enough. I know. I did. A famous Will Rogers quote captures it well. Know what you are doing, love what you are doing, and believe in what you are doing. Thank you to the Will Rogers High School Community Foundation Board and the Hall of Fame Committee for this lovely honor. I feel blessed to be included in this prestigious group of honorees this year. Thank you. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
I have the pleasure of introducing Will Rogers Chorale, our chorus. They're going to sing our alma mater. I'm sure that some of us don't know it as well as we should. And I'm going to introduce the director of our chorale, our chorus, Gabriel Royal, who himself is quite a distinguished musician. We're full of distinguished musicians today.
All the shorties, we don't cause problems. Turn on number 3. Turn on number 3. Yeah, it's not on. Should I turn this one off?
Our alma mater, thou art strong and true. Thy name shall live in the deeds thy children do. Thy gift will be in life our guide. We will be true to thee. Will Rogers High. Our alma mater, thou art strong and true. Thy name shall live in the deeds thy children do. Thy gift will be in life our guide. We will be true to thee. Will Rogers High.
You guys, you did a great job. Congratulations.
All right, students, first, I want to thank you, and I want you to give our guests a big hand for behaving. They were really well behaved, our guests. So we are going to go back, teachers. You're going to take your students back to your class. We still have 10 more minutes. So I'd like the students on the bottom, so the students that are on the first floor right now, teachers, will you take them back to your class, please? And we'll wait, hang on up there in the balcony. Let's let these kids get